In story time today, we're going to take a look at this miter stand. Hi, I'm Ron Polk, designer of the Smart Woodshop and a number of workbenches you may have heard of. Hey, if you get a chance, drop over to thesmartwoodshop.com. You can type it in, it's pretty easy. If not, check the description of this video down below for a link. Click on it and you go right here. When you go, there's a lot of good stuff. My wife is keeping this site up to date and adding and making it more and more creative. So there's a gallery, you can see some of our work. And also there is a store link. If you click on that, you can order any of my plans. And if you do, you'll get a receipt instantaneously within minutes. And you will be able to scroll down in that email and click on the link and download the plans immediately. This is 365, 24/7. It's all done by computers in the background. If you don't get it right away, then it's probably in your junk mail. But if you don't, let us know and we will take care of you. And again, if you go there and download it, you have it on your computer, wherever your downloads are saved. You don't need to go back. It's not this live thing you got to look at all the time. That is a question we get. Also, at that same Ron store, if you scroll down, there is an affiliate link to my Amazon store. And there, if you purchase anything, Amazon will share a little bit with us, which helps support the channel so I can make these videos, but they don't charge you any extra. Back over here at story time. So as I'm putting together these story time videos, I'm looking for the content that you're asking for, projects and tools and different things. And this particular error comes from right after I had it was the end of me having a crew. After decades of having a crew, I was back on my own at the big 2008 bust. And so I'm actually out in the field just working away, staying busy and keeping myself out of trouble. And here I am in a development. I actually built the houses in this development. I think there's about 31, 32 of them. And this is one of the houses I built. The homeowners wanted some crown molding added. And so you can see down to this trailer. This was one of the crew trailers that I kept for myself. And this truck was fairly new to me at the time. I had sold my nicer, newer trucks and found this beauty. And I wished I would have kept it, but I ended up going to a little more modern one. As much as I like the looks of this one, I like the new engines and powertrains and a lot more towing capacity on the newer ones than these older ones. So again, I kind of wish I'd have kept this one, but it's history. I'm on this job doing crown molding, and I was looking at this for projects, and I do have some photos of doing the crown molding, and I may do a separate video on that, but this is not about that. So we'll take a look here, just another angle on the trailer. This is looking into the trailer, and I've shown this one before. This was around when the Polk Workbench started and the very first video. And you can see sitting in here these kind of Polk Workbench looking sort of things, but I had forgotten about these. These predate even the prototype for the Polk Workbench. In fact, if you look over here, you'll see that I've got my table saw mounted on a wheeled cart that I rolled into the trailer, and there is a door. This was my go-to bench. It was a hollow core door. I just get them for free or $4 or $5 a piece and throw them on a couple of sawhorses, and there you go. That's the cart here was built to be at the same height as these horses. And if you look here, I've got a DeWalt miter stand, and I have these kind of extensions on them, and they have the holes cut out, and they're the box shape, just like the Polk Workbench eventually became. And what I had done was I had picked up this miter stand and had my Festool saw still going strong, and even today, and this shows you how far back that goes. Because again, this was, if the dates are right on this, didn't always have the camera set right, but this is showing 2010. So it was 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. So what I did was I came up with these boxes, basically, these extensions, and I took the hardware off of the actual DeWalt stand, and I mounted them onto the bottom of this so I could then just slide these on and they would bolt right on. So they were very rigid. And so I could slide this extension out and it would kind of flop down, but as soon as I tightened it up, it became rigid. So this was really strong and I didn't need any legs out here. And then this is the angle we saw before. And what was nice about it was it gave me, you know, that location for tools and pencils and writing pads and all those things that I tend to keep around, squares and things like that, tape measure or two. I did not have a any kind of measuring implement built into this one. It was just measure and cut. And obviously I could have modified that and put in something very similar to what I now have on the Polk Total Station. But I didn't go much further with this because one, it led to, the next thing was the Polk Workbench, which I built out. I showed you the prototype in another story time video. You can take a look at that one if you want. And that came after this. And then I went on to developing the Polk Workbench, and then eventually after that, the Polk Miter Stand. You can see here on a job later on, for a friend of mine, he was an engineer, did a lot of development work, survey engineer, and this was his office. This was his garage, his house on this side, and he had this office that had been around but not built out. So I went out and finished it out inside for him, and you can see here that I've got the Polk Workbench. This is the very original one, the one I still have kind of floating around. And here was the first miter stand. So I had taken this concept and realized that the length of these are a little cumbersome. I didn't really like carrying this around. And the big deal was I was having a difficult time coming up with a way to hold the long material in front of it, which I think is the #1 criteria for a miter stand. If you're going to do finish work with a miter stand, you're going to run long base molding, crown molding, you're going to run chair rail, all the long stuff where you're going to be cutting out of 16-foot goods. You got to have the stuff between the saw and you. And I've shown this in another video. If you've got to pick it up and move it or turn it around, you know, it just takes too long. It really cuts into your efficiency. So having that extensions here or shelves that will hold your long material so you can lift it up, cut it, and set the cut pieces back down and keep working through so you can get a lot of cuts done without moving away from the saw. And again, so this is the same old trailer, same saw, but new bench. And this is the, I never updated this. This plan is still available on my site. It's very popular. I, of course, have personally gone to the Total Station, which is more of a combination of like my small compact bench with the miter saw built into it. So I run off of those two, my compact bench and my Total Station. And this is my only large bench now, and I do plan on building myself one of the newer versions, which many of you have. I sold mine with one of my trailers, so I'm stuck with the prototype, which is very archaic compared to the newer one. And this one, of course, there's no plans online available for this one. And here it is in my little shop, my little 2-car garage in the condo that we had, that all of these workbenches found their inspiration. And I came up with a lot of little connection details, and a lot has been updated. The Total Station is, of course, much more evolved, but it was pretty handy. I used it in that 2-car garage, and I could quickly break them down, set them on the side, and we parked our car. My wife parked her car in this place every night. The house is right on the other side of this door. It was part of a 4-plex condominium unit we built and owned them all and rented the other 3 out. And we had the end unit here. Broken down, sitting on top of the bench. So there's the horses and the supports and the miter stand itself. And of course, one of the big evolutions was to make this thing just under 8 feet or just at 8 feet, and then have the extensions fit inside and give me that really long cutting capacity with the old stops design that I had. This was my garage. Again, we parked the car in there every night. For those that say my shop looks like it is not used, believe me, my shops are used heavily. I just don't go to bed at night until the shop is cleaned up, swept up, and ready for the next day. And of course, in this situation where I was sharing it with a car, this was a 2-car garage, but we just put 1 car in. I could set this stuff over to the side, but most of the time I broke it down, put it back in the trailer, which is parked usually right outside of this, and you could still drive the car in right beside the trailer, so the trailer was nice and safe. There's a picture showing where the trailer sat, and you can see this is the way I worked on a lot of jobs. I would back, and I still do this, I back up my trailer. That's why I like a ramp door. I'll back it right up to the garage as close as I can. You can see I got it right to the edge there, so the ramp door will just come inside the garage door. And so at night I close it up, lock it up, and then close the garage door down. So to get into this trailer, you would have to either move it, and of course that has a tongue lock and a wheel lock and an alarm. But you would have to, if you wanted to just get in the trailer, you'd have to get in the garage first, open the door, and then get in. And that's the way I leave it on job sites. Here's a few pictures from some of my subscribers that have purchased the plans and sent me photos. So they've got variations on them. So this is one variation. And here's another look. And another one. So someone did a really neat and clean job. Mine was never that refined. I love seeing that. Well, that's the end of story time today. I've got this keyword called projects, and it's a generic term. These are just, it's a keyword I put in on photos that I've kind of found, and I'm deciding if I'm going to do a project video. Here's one of a gazebo that I built, and that's the only photo I could find. So I won't be doing one on that one. And then, you know, my cabinet shop and little things, doodads I'd built over the years, some trim jobs. Here's one where you can see long before sliding miters were out, I had my big 15 or 16 inch Hitachi for doing the big crown. And you can see my miter stand back then was just one of those Black & Decker flip-up benches, and then I had an attachment of some boards going out with no any kind of measuring device. And my Russo table saw set up with the Makita. I had a couple of those over the years. Some other little projects, a bigger project there, 2-sided mantle. There's a lot of these I just can't find enough photos to really do much. Have done lots of mantle and cabinet work over the years, so a lot of that stuff. Wainscoting, more mantles and cabinet built-ins. Have a couple of, you know, just not a lot of photos. But anyway, some bigger remodels. Here doing some excavation, and then a deck that we tore off an older one. Here's a house. I'll have a lot to do. I'll be able to do this one. This was a house I designed and built. Pretty cool house. I'll be able to take you through that one. Here's that deck moving along. So anyway, got a lot of projects. I'll just kind of scroll through here. You can see as I start to put these together, framing and again, houses start to finish, decks and additions and kitchen, lots of kitchen. We've done tons of kitchens, little repairs here, big repairs. This one was a rotted out bathroom. We had a little, had get called in. Somebody wanted to buy a house, and the owner, or they had found this little soft spot in the tile right in front of the shower, and they mentioned it on their offer, and so the owner had us come in and look at it, and we ended up tearing out the entire bathroom because that shower had leaked, and that little soft spot in the tile ended up being massive rot underneath. So had to tear out the whole bathroom and redo it. Surprise for everybody. Here's the bathroom torn out right down to the studs. So there's nothing left of it when we got done until we rebuilt it. Here's that deck finished up. More cabinetry, built-in closets, kitchen. Here's a big pantry we built right on site. We moved all of our equipment in back when I had my crew, and we built all of these cabinets and built this big pantry. Anyway, lots and lots of stuff here. And as I go through these, I'll hopefully be able to put together more Storytime videos and share them with you. Well, if you like Storytime, be sure to give me a thumbs up and make a comment. The interaction that I have with viewers is what drives the algorithm up. So I'm asking you to take a minute here and do something. Give me a thumbs up and make a comment. Ask a question, or just say, hey, I'd like to see more of these Storytime videos. Encourage me, drive the algorithm. Remember to subscribe. And also drop over here to thesmartwoodshop.com and check us out. You can check out a gallery we have over here, and my wife updates this all the time. You can see some of our work, and you can also, again, order plans or go to our Amazon store from there. Hey, thanks for dropping into the Smart Woodshop. Have a great day.